1 and a half Delawareans. This is the lead-in song. It's not a theme song. I can't write music. It's just one note. Maybe not even a note. I don't know how to play music. Or even the vocabulary. Maybe it's just a chord. Enjoy the test pilot of our podcast. Welcome to the first episode of the 1.5 Delawareans. You're in a treat today because our first podcast is also our Halloween special, where me, myself, Michael, and my co-host
Erik
talking about all the spookiness in Delaware. I guess we should probably introduce ourselves a little bit. I'm Michael. I'm the half Delawarean.
I'm Erik, the whole Delawarean.
We both lived in and around Delaware our entire lives for the most part. And we both think history is pretty cool and also like the spooky stuff. And we're going to talk about the spooky stuff today and Delaware stuff tomorrow or later. And yeah.
And we take over the world the next day.
Yeah. Our end goal is to make all of America Delaware. Ohio can step aside. Okay.
Move over. Was it Ohio? Was that whole Ohio meme where it's like Ohio's taking over the world?
Yeah. Delaware's on that game.
Long.
Okay. So let's get into it, I guess.
All right. I think we have to start with this one. Well, when I first started, I thought I was going to go from where we are and then outwards. But then that just made me really disappointed, mainly because of this one, the witch's tree in Selbyville. So apparently there was this witch's tree in Delaware where apparently a witch was hung. And allegedly if you went there, you would see some really weird stuff. There was a ghost car apparently and some orbs and lights. Turns out that tree was cut down in 1970 and is actually in Maryland technically.
So the Selbyville, Delaware tree was in Maryland?
It was in Whaleyville, Delaware, or Maryland, a few miles over the border. It has been cut down a long time ago. Not only that, I was doing this research. I found all these really weird niche ghost hunting forums where it's people rate their experiences. There's only one I found on the witch's tree. It was 0 stars. It said, didn't see anything, got arrested for trespassing, and that was it. So that one was pretty disappointing.
So you're starting our Delaware podcast talking about a Maryland tree? A spooky Maryland tree?
Delmarva, that's whatever. Hey, I didn't know. It was listed as a Selbyville witch's tree. Also, it didn't exist, so I think it really counted for anyone's.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we have another cool one, the Addie Inn, which is in Bethany.
Bethany Beach, Delaware?
Oh, yeah. Built in 1902, has actually had to be moved 3 times from the beach.
Inland?
Yeah, but global warming doesn't exist, so
that's right.
There's no explanation.
We're not going to be underwater in 75, 50 years.
So that was going to be underwater in 10, apparently.
God bless them.
Yeah, I think where my house was, because my dad does his job and kind of a nerd about it sometimes. I couldn't tell you how many times he reminded me. He's that where we're standing right now is actually 2 feet below water. That's cool. Not scary. But okay. So the Addie Inn, it's this 12-room bed and breakfast. I always get that. I can never say that.
Bread and breakfast?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always try to do. Actually work there now, so that's cool. I got to see a little bit of it. It's it looks like you're stepping into something out of Boardwalk Empire. It's so cool.
This is your completely unbiased take as an employee of Addie Inn.
I never said I worked there.
You just did.
Nope. There's no evidence of that. Anyway, this is actually, I would say, probably, well, other than the Cypress Swamp, it's probably the most haunted Sussex County site. Well, I guess there's one in Laurel. Anyway.
Delaware has 3 counties, actually, by the way. Sussex in the south, Kent in the middle, and Newcastle in the north.
Mm-hmm.
Just heads up for all our non-Delaware listeners, because we know that's 80% of our audience right now.
And we are in the one Republican county. I don't know how that worked out.
Yeah.
Anyway. The Addie Inn.
We're
So
in Sussex County.
yes. There's 3 rooms that are really haunted. I believe it's 1, 6, and 11. Apparently, in one of, I believe it's 6, they basically have a haunted bathtub, which is pretty unique. It's something I feel like something out of a Stephen King like short story.
A haunted bathtub?
I mean, I literally read a Stephen King short story about a haunted laundry machine that kills people.
I mean, he pretty much has a story for everything that can kill somebody that you wouldn't expect to kill somebody.
Oh, I read one called The Lawnmower Man yesterday that freaked me out so much, and it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a lawn care service, but they're like serving the god Pan, and they're like sacrificing people while eating their grass. Like, it turns out like the dude that came to cut his grass is like a centaur. Not a centaur, it's Grover from...
A satyr?
Yeah.
Or a fawn?
Yeah. Like the story is like this dude, like, he doesn't want to cut his grass because he's old, and like he's like hates that his Democrat neighbors like pay to have their grass cut, but he gets really drunk, so he calls this weird like lawn care company. And he wakes up and the mowing, like the riding mower, is being pushed by no one, and literally the dude is naked behind it eating the grass it's cutting, and he all of a sudden looks like a goat.
Cocaine's one hell of a drug.
Yeah. Apparently, that's funny because that's one of the ones he wrote when he wrote Dreamcatcher after he got into that accident, was high on pain pills.
Okay.
And so there's some of his stuff that's written after that makes no sense. I mean, Dreamcatcher literally has there's literally named by Stephen King, there's an alien that's called a shit weasel. So I mean, like, yeah. But anyway, the Addie C, there's a haunted bathtub in one room. One room they say you can always hear opera music, like, but I don't say like from like an old gramophone, which they don't have anything like that in there.
Yeah.
One of the rooms has I guess like they have hot tubs. I don't know. That place seems so small, but probably there's like 12 rooms in it somehow, and it'll overflow itself all the time, like even when it's not on, like in the winter and things like that, or in the summer. Some really like pretty, I guess, typical poltergeist activity, which I learned is actually like the most common haunting in the U.S., which, I mean, I'm not surprised now. Also,
it's
kind of weird.
All based off negative energy or some crap.
Yeah, and it's also like the easiest to fake on videos. That's like, you ever watch on Travel Channel all those crap called paranormal caught on camera, and it's like this woman, and it's just like very clearly a bunch of cabinets being opened, and there's like just randomly like something moving in the back in the other room, and like...
Yeah, like 80% of the Paranormal Activity movies.
Yeah. Never really, I couldn't get scared by those. I mean, I guess I enjoyed...
I mean, the second one's hilarious. If you see the third one's funny. I mean, the third one's spooky, only because I saw it in theaters.
What was that you call a Megatron, the pool filter?
Oh yeah, because they spent half the movie just cutting to the outside area where you see their fancy little pool, and you see their automated like robot pool cleaner, and we just call it Megatron because at one point it just gets shot out of the water, and like that's it. Like that's the spookiest thing they do with that one shot.
Ugh. I remember the last one they made is like, because apparently, so there's one that's about like Hispanic like myths.
Saint Oxnard, the link or something.
Yeah, that's where like Steve Zaragoza was like talking about like that. Literally, isn't something bad.
I have to bleep that. We can't mention neighbor competition.
Steve.
So basically, it seems like the Addie C ghosts really care about the aesthetic of their 1920s home.
Oh yeah, music. You know, they can't throw anything. I mean, it's all antiques. They can't do anything.
They can just run over the water because they also don't believe in global warming.
Also, it's such a nice spot. They're probably like, we gotta like remind them that we're here, so they like take heed of us. But like, we don't want anyone to be calling in any exorcists now. We got a nice spot going on the beach, you know.
Yeah, it does seem very pretty. It has the Boardwalk Empire vibe.
Yeah.
I'd probably want to spend eternity there if I could.
Yeah.
Or at least until I get flooded because of global warming.
Could you imagine being a ghost and you wake up the next morning, your house is like 300 yards back from where it was? You just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So these ghosts, they follow the house 3 times.
I don't know. I don't, because like I don't know if there's any like recorded deaths there. I mean, if you look at some of the pictures, if someone were to get sick there, I can 100% imagine why they'd die. Because if there's like this picture there from the year it was built, and it's like there's probably like 10 miles between it and the next house. So I mean, it's pretty empty there when they first built it.
The Addey-Sea.
Yeah, I don't know what the name is from either though.
Addeyseac, not ADC like the letters.
Yeah. Yes. Good one. Yeah, we got there. I guess this one also next. This next one is like back on your like. This is more like the half Delawarean part of it because it's Cooch's Bridge.
Yeah, Cooch's Bridge. Everyone knows about Battle of Cooch's Bridge, the one and only major battle fought in the continental United States, or fought in post-colonial. It's colonial because it's still a revolution, but
It's the only one that matters in the continental U.S. I get
yeah,
where you're going.
the only battle have ever been fought in Delaware that wasn't between Dutch colonists and Native Americans.
Yeah, that was more of a genocide, but
Genocide, yes. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Or-
Battle of Cooch's Bridge. English landed at the head of Elk, modern-day Elkton, Maryland, to march north to capture Philadelphia. Delaware militia and General Lafayette
mm-hmm.
held them at the Cooch's Bridge and delayed their march north. They met heavy resistance from Hessian mercenaries along the way. And, I mean, they lost because they took Philadelphia, I guess. But it was still an important delaying action.
Yeah, I think they were successful. I mean, they lost, they retreated, but I think they were successful in holding them off because they were deploying their positions at what would be the Battle of Brandywine.
Yeah, they definitely killed more than they lost. But back to the spooky part.
Yeah, so I always heard it at first. It was that it was a ghost of a American soldier, but now I've also heard apparently it is a ghost of a British soldier.
That's the headless horseman of Cooch's Bridge.
Yeah, and apparently he walks down. What road is it? I had it here. Cooch's Bridge Road. And there's another road. I mean, I doubt this one. I don't know. I have this continued thing where I think I want ghosts to be real more than I think they actually do.
Yeah, just to be clear, I am skeptical of the existence of ghosts. I enjoy them as a story element.
I don't know how I feel about them. Like I said, I think
It'd be cool if they were real.
yeah, it would be really cool to see like a.
When I lived on my own, I would every time I enter my apartment, I'd say hello just to the ghost, hoping one will manifest,
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be so lonely.
but like I just like the idea of a headless horse. Can you imagine that? Like seeing that?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty. I
So,
don't know.
The story my dad always told me was that there was a church, which it was not really close to the Cooch's Bridge at all.
Mhm.
Because that's where my grandmother lives. She
Yeah.
lives like
Right there.
not even like a quarter mile away from the actual bridge itself. But this church was like closer to University of Delaware's campus, and I know it mainly because we passed every time we went to friendlies. Because I'm from the Newark, Elkton area. But my dad always said there was a young kid took his dad's horse, rode off to join the militia holding off the British advance. They set up defenses at the church using the stone walls for cover. The British pulled out a cannon, or brought up a cannon. The cannon fired. It took the kid's head off, and the cannonball crater is supposedly still in the church wall behind it. And I never actually went to the close enough church to actually check or not. But I just chose as a child to believe that story, and I'll take it to the grave with me.
Something similar to that, I think, in Lewis, because there's several hauntings there because they British shelled the town of Lewis in the War of 1812. That's like a famous story of cornballs and cannon stalks.
Oh yeah, I've actually seen the crater from the shell in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, apparently, the only
Lewis is
reason.
in southern Delaware.
Yeah, apparently the only reason.
Like paint you guys a map
I
sometime.
know. Apparently, Lewis. I heard from a historian the only reason that town still exists is because the British gunners were just failures.
That makes
I've
sense.
never heard that. I don't know exactly why, but apparently, like if they actually could have like aimed at all, that town would be nothing.
And we've also had 300 years to rebuild.
Yeah.
Oh, 400? 300.
War of
300. Close to
1812 now?
300.
Yeah. Not good numbers. And then the next one we have is, I'd say, definitely the most well-known nationally, and probably the most haunted place in Delaware is Fort Delaware itself. Which, also, There's a lot of debate on what state it's in because it's in the Delaware. It's on an island in the Delaware River, which is technically on the Delaware Pennsylvania border, I believe.
Okay.
Also, we were talking
I
about,
didn't hear that.
the island has a modern haunting from 2009, which is pretty crazy. So the island, apparently there's a cruise ship or some kind of ship with people on it that was traveling through there, and a kid fell off and drowned, and apparently haunts Peapatch Island now. I always hear that's like a
I mean,
big
Peapatch is in where Fort Delaware is located?
yeah. But it's a modern haunting. I mean, he died in like 2009. I always hear that's interesting because people always talk about modern hauntings and how come we don't see any modern ghosts and stuff. So
Ghosts of kids with iPhones isn't as scary as old men in giant wool coats.
or people from the 90s,
Yeah.
chain wallets and
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Nobody's gonna look at a ghost of a guy in parachute pants and say, ah.
but with Delaware, Fort Delaware is really known for.
Yes, Fort Delaware is the biggest fort in all of the Eastern Shore.
Is it? I don't know.
It's our pride and joy because we tortured Confederate slaves there for 10 years, 6 years. The
Yeah,
war was like
they-
6 years.
Fought for the Confederacy, so
What?
they fought for the Confederacy. So
The fort did?
no, those prisoners. So
Yeah. Yeah, they deserved it.
they kind of owned other people. But anyway,
we that was like a testing ground where we gave white people, or Union gave these Confederate people a taste of their own medicine.
yeah. I mean, so basically, I think it held like 30,000 Confederate prisoners when it was with a garrison of 5,000 because it still leads up into Philadelphia. So
And this
There's-
fort is on an island, much like Alcatraz. So if you wanted to escape, you have to swim like
yes,
half a mile or so.
in a time when people just didn't swim.
Yeah, and when you wore heavy wool clothing, that
Mhm.
I mean, the prisoners probably didn't wear heavy clothes because they were probably threadbare, because we didn't give a shit about them. And if you saw their living quarters, because some of them are still standing, it is kind of very not good. I don't want to say like Holocaust-esque. I don't want to compare it to that, but it's probably getting there. It's like chicken coops. They lived in chicken coops.
Also, you got to think back then where that was now was literally in a swamp in standing water. So they were
Yeah.
all dying of malaria and typhoid, like all these different diseases. Part of why it's so haunted. But yeah, I think it probably could have handled. They couldn't handle prisoners. Actually, that's why they had to build those things. So they actually had to build it on this island. So they held like 30,000 Confederate prisoners. I think of which 8,000 of them are buried in a mass grave because there was a massive cholera outbreak, I believe. But I think most famous prisoner is a General Archer, who was a Confederate general at the Battle of Gettysburg, and somehow on the second day got his entire brigade captured at one time. I don't know how that happened.
I think they're too far off onto the flank.
I remember that I literally remember it because it's in that comic book we got, like the Civil War comic books. You remember those?
The Battle of Gettysburg comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What a weird thing. Well, anyway,
it was weird because I think I got that from Fort Knox up in Maine.
I know we got him at was it in North Carolina?
Oh, at
Fort.
that- Not Sumter.
No,
the other
it's
one.
something. It starts with a B.
I honestly can't remember.
It's in Beaufort or something. That town. Those little towns.
It's not important because it's not in Delaware.
Exactly.
And Fort Delaware is in Delaware because it has the name Delaware, but the Delaware River is not in Delaware. We'll get to that in a later episode.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Delaware, Ohio doesn't exist on my book.
It's gonna be Ohio. Wait.
Yeah, it's Delaware County, Ohio. That's what it is. And
Okay.
then there's Delaware, Texas, apparently.
So we
too.
already have a foothold in 2 states. We're coming for you.
Yes. hmm I mean, look how well we're doing in Texas, which is supposed to be like its own country anyway. But yeah, it tells you how weird a time it is in the Civil War. They were starting to use like these modern weapons, but they still believe in chivalry so much that General Archer's wife and
Who's
daughter,
General Archer?
the captured Confederate general,
Okay.
the most famous one I was talking about, they actually got to go live with him at Fort Delaware. And so I guess how it was
Yeah,
the
I imagine
officers.
The officers probably better.
They were able to
quarters.
stay in the fort. But one of the most famous hauntings is his daughter, who somehow caught cholera while she was there. Can you imagine having to go live with your dad in jail, basically, and then you catch cholera? Such a weird, like...
I also feel bad for all like the Navy men who, like in the English Navy, that had their wives come with them.
Oh, on ships and things
Yeah,
like
like
that?
the captain's wives. Why would you bring them into a war zone like that?
Yeah, exactly. And so apparently in her room there's a rocking horse to mimic, because they have it set up to her room, and apparently it rocks by itself. And you can hear like a little girl laughing and running around in there. I've never been to Fort Delaware. I want to go so bad.
I thought you.
No,
I
I
guess
read
it's
the
just me and my
book about
family.
it. I read the Ed O'Connor's book, which apparently he's a fraud.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, I don't want to slander anybody. I've met him. Yeah, I met him. He came down middle school when I
Mhm.
got his autograph because I was like, I wanted to be him when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I loved his books. I mean, I pretty much had almost all of his books autographed
We
because
could get him a discount from when my mom worked at the Indian River Life Saving Station.
the Indian River Indian River Life Saving Station. Another future episode probably sold all his books, and he had them all autographed because he's such a niche audience. He's a Delmarva supernatural folk expert.
Mm-hmm.
Teaches at University of Delaware. I've, from my one experience, seemed like a pretty chill guy. I've heard negative things from other people. I've heard there's better Delmarva folk experts out there that we would like to reach out to eventually. I also like to have Okanowitz on just to talk to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has a book about the Fort Delaware, which I've also read. There's one story I remember where like a soldier on had like Night's Watch or something, the Night Watch, and the stairways on the fort are so narrow and small that he like slipped or something and fell and broke his head open.
He was a Italian immigrant that had joined on as like an officer's on officer's staff, and I can't tell which side he was on because they obviously had the garrison still there, and that he was like super into his
He had
job.
to have been Union, or else he
Yeah.
wouldn't be on guard duty.
Well, he was running letters back to people. He was because he was an aide, and apparently he was like he was so into the idea of trying to elevate his status that he fell down the stairs, and apparently his blood is still there and they can't clean it up. That's what I've heard. Yeah. All the old stairs though, I mean, like even at the life saving station, our stairs are so steep and made just of like solid stone all the time. Those things do look spooky.
Especially spiral ones with just like no footing.
Oh yeah. Stairs, another episode we'll have later probably.
Yeah, we're gonna do Delaware. We'll rank the stairs of Delaware.
Best stairs in Delaware. That's gonna be a tough one. I don't know.
A lot of stairs. I'll have to travel some, I guess.
Yeah.
Which, well, actually, we're probably going to save the episode for after the COVID outbreak because we don't have to deal with all the restrictions and social distancing. We are actually recording this podcast in nature. You want to describe where we are a little bit?
So this is probably one of my favorite parks in Delaware, Trap Pond. Really awesome place. Great hiking. Like cool area in general. I guess it's only a technicality, but technically the only pond that had a lake monster technically in Delaware.
The Trap Pond Lake Monster?
I think it was the Redden Pond, which is the one next to it.
Redden Pond Lake Monster?
It was just some dude's escaped pet caiman that he, I think, was about to have it taken, probably confiscated, and he just dropped it off here, and it lived here for 2 years.
By caiman, what do you mean?
It's like a smaller species of alligator.
Okay.
Yeah. Not enough to, like, hurt anyone. I think apparently it was just a pain to everyone, like, basically, like, messing with fishermen and stuff like that. And then it lived a full life, apparently. It was somehow captured, I don't know how, and just, yeah.
And nobody's ever swam in the lake again.
Not because of that, because there's like a brain-eating amoeba in here apparently.
And the brain-eating amoeba turned the lake monster into a giant chicken gator monster that killed 3 people.
Yeah, that's how the fighting blue hen came about.
Yeah, and all because of the runoff from the mountain air plant nearby.
Mm-hmm.
We can do a whole nother episode on the blue hens and General Kirkwood.
Oh yeah, of course.
Or Colonel Kirkwood.
I think it was Colonel or Hazlitt. No.
Do we have more spooky stuff we can talk about?
Oh yeah. I was gonna finish about Fort Delaware.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't been there, but my dad, he went there when he was younger, so in the 70s. Also back when like museums were just places you could just climb on artifacts apparently.
Yeah.
And apparently you used to be able to just crawl through Fort Delaware, and it was absolutely terrifying. Like there's weird little passages and all kinds of stuff because it's huge because it's supposed to be like a self-sustaining place. So I think they had all kinds of stuff there. And you just remember somebody about like, crawling through like pitch black like tunnels and hearing like chains rattling and stuff like that.
I mean, I've been to Fort Delaware. I was 10 I think. I was for a Cub Scout trip. That's why.
Oh yeah.
And I've been to several other forts, and as a kid, I haven't really been to many forts as an adult. I regret that. But yeah, a lot of them all blurred together, so I can't really like speak on my specific experience except for seeing the slave quarter. I keep calling slave. The prisoner quarters. I want to say like the hallways are all because the fort's just a giant like Pentagon type shit thing. So like they have long hallways and all dark and it's spooky. And all Civil War forts are spooky, but when you have one that's like committing like even at war crimes, but just a shit ton of people packed together dying of
Mhm.
diseases, you're bound to get some spooky shit going on. I mean, there's no major battles or attacks on Fort Delaware.
Oh,
It was
no.
just coastal defense against an army that couldn't field a navy strong enough to actually penetrate that far north.
Because the blockade too helped.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Also, one of the only ones that's gotten like national. It's been on national TV twice.
The fort?
Yeah, it was on
'cause
a
of the-
Ghost Hunters episode, and then it was on another Travel Channel documentary.
I remember watching the Ghost Hunters episode, and then the power went out, and we couldn't finish it. And I was really pissed off.
I remember when I interned at Fort Miles, since I was doing cataloging artifacts, I had like this huge database of images, and one of them was just old special events at like state parks, and one of them was they used to do a haunted house inside Fort Delaware, and it looks so cool.
Yeah,
'Cause it's a
I've seen
perfect,
the ads
like,
for that.
Perfect environment for it. There used to be one here, or Cape Henlopen they used to do one, even though there's dead bodies all over Cape Henlopen allegedly, because it was a Cape Henlopen, which is just outside of Lewis, right in that area. In the 1800s, where the state park is now, was a quarantine site for immigrants, and so there's apparently about 15 bodies out there that are buried in casks of rum because they died of like diseases, and that was where they thought they could keep them. I don't know what
I guess the rum, they knew rum was antibacterial, alcohol was
Yeah.
antibacterial, but they didn't. I don't know.
It makes us feel good, so I guess
I mean, there's like some logic to that. I
Yeah.
guess. Just not enough scientific backing.
Yeah. Also, weird thing about Camp Henlopen, you can book a stay in a cabin that held Nazi prisoners during World War II.
Oh yeah, it's another. Yeah, Delaware had a lot of Nazi prisoners.
Oh, there's some in Georgetown, and
Even up in Glasgow, Newark, my grandfather would drive to work and he'd like see them. Well, actually, no, he wasn't even old to. He was a child then, so I don't know. I guess he would. Yeah, he would see the Nazi prisoners like go there. He would see them.
yeah,
On a daily, not on like a daily basis, because he lived right near Cooch's Bridge is where they kept some of them, and he'd point out where like it's a parking lot now, but it used to be where they'd have like do their field exercises, or their daily activities outdoors.
They worked. They put them on farms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely like railroad shit nearby that they did or something.
If you go out near Salisbury, like right before on your way to Salisbury, when you just about to cross over the Delaware border, there's
Salisbury's in Maryland.
there's a bunker, and it's like just in the back of this old farmstead, and apparently this farm is still owned by the people that own the property that had German prisoners working on their farm for them.
So awesome. You should interview him.
I think, yeah. There's also the only person to die at Fort Miles, which was what the land that Cape Henlopen is now. It was a coastal defense fort, so there's all these installations of bunkers. Really cool stuff there that's still there.
Be expecting an episode on the coastal defense of Delaware.
Pretty interesting, actually.
We had a lot of U-boats.
Yeah. And a lot of shooting at whales that we thought were U-boats, apparently. And
Both just as evil.
yes. Where was I? Oh. And so Fort Miles, there was like nothing really here, and Fort Miles was a huge base, so they had basically all these amenities, and they had like an actual like hospital wing and all that stuff. And apparently at the prison camp in Georgetown, 2 German soldiers got into a fight, and one stabbed the other one. So the only hospital near there was Fort Miles, and he was there and died at Fort Miles.
So that's our first confirmed death. I don't know,
Yeah.
second confirmed death this podcast. That child in 2009.
Yeah. I guess the third confirmed death was in 1960 when Fort Miles was a R&R place. Like it's kind of like how the National Guard station at Bethany Beach now. You can go stay there.
Yeah.
That was what Fort Miles was. There was a bunch of drunk soldiers on the fishing bridge, which used to be the mine pier, and they were all drinking. Apparently, one guy said, "I bet you won't go jump in there," and he did. Landed in a foot of water and died. So, not a very, what a way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You don't put that on the brochure.
yeah. This place used to hold like explosives, that too. But one thing we have to talk about is the cypress swamp. We can't not talk about that and the cypress swamp monster.
The cypress swamp monster is very important.
Have you
It's
heard?
different from the lake monster.
Yes.
Swamp's very different from the lake.
Yes.
Because we say we have the only lake monster. Swamp and lake, two different genres of monster.
Don't even try to tell me they're the same thing, or I'll be very insulted.
I do not know the cypress lake monster. You did all the research.
Oh,
I
yeah,
bought the
so
equipment.
Cypress Swamp, though.
Just make sure you look at the camera or the microphone when you talk.
Cypress Swamp, also another possible battlefield. The Black Camp Rebellion was there during the Revolutionary War.
Black Camp Rebellion.
Yeah.
Need some backstory on that.
So this area, Sussex County, I don't know why.
What's the Revolutionary War? Make sure our audience knows what that is.
What the Revolutionary War was? It was like this thing when we were fighting the radical left communists that were known as the British, and we kicked them out of our country.
It's different from the Civil War where we fought ourselves. Okay. I think our audience. I just keep hearing stuff. If you hear the dog, I'm sorry. If you hear
it was
just
a turkey at first, but it's not.
That's a little yapper.
Yeah. By the way, the British were not real radical left communists.
No, they just wore red a lot.
Mm-hmm. So this area, Sussex County mainly, was a huge loyalist kind of like hotspot. Like a lot of
very right wing.
Well, a lot of them were like landed elites, like former like. England was just kind of coming out of the time where they still almost kind of had knights in a way, in the way of like property, and I think from what I've read, a lot of the settlers in this area were big plantation owners. So that's why Delaware was a border state in the Civil War.
The South is southern Delaware is very much the South.
Yes.
And
no, yeah.
We're from the north, northern Maryland. Yeah. We're from the northern Mid-Atlantic.
I couldn't tell you how many times I argue with my teammates from college in Virginia that what Delaware was.
Oh, I had to tell people that Delaware wasn't near Vermont.
Or I've had to argue if Delaware exists as a state before.
I had a guy in LA ask me, or tell me when he checked my ID at the movie theater, because whatever the movie theater I went to, they had to check your IDs if you paid a card. So he goes, "Oh, Delaware, you're like your own country, right? You got like a king or queen or something?" I was like, "Yeah,
yeah, of course, it's me. Yeah. Let me in."
The country of one.
What's that? Oh, it's a book and then a movie from the 60s, When the Mouse Roared. Have you seen that? Where it's like this country.
You and your dad always talk about it. I want to watch it.
It's this movie. I think it's probably got something to say about like the Cold War, or it's like some like metaphor for something. And basically, it's about this made-up country in Europe that has 6 soldiers, and they're still like they have like swords and armor and stuff, and they're thinking like, man, everyone just invaded everyone. We got to invade a country too. And so they decided, it's like after World War II, they decide to send their army to the U.S. They literally get on a rowboat dressed as knights and invade and successfully conquer the United States. And I'm pretty sure that's just the whole movie. It's like a weird black comedy. I don't know.
It's like the Japanese soldiers that got lost in the jungle and never forgot, never gave up on surrendered.
You think he kind of had to know. I mean, like, 70 years, you're not seeing anyone out here.
Like, my country would never give in.
I love that the Philippines gave him a medal. And it's like, you mean he was like, but he was fighting you guys for 70 years. Like, I mean,
you gotta respect the grind.
And he committed war crimes. Like,
I mean, again,
the Bataan Death March, what? Never happened. But yeah, so this area was a super.
Wait, what are we talking about? We're still talking about the Swamp Monster?
Yeah, we're leading up to it. You asked for the Black Camp Rebellion and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. We can't bring up things and not discuss the background, or else we're just going to be confusing our audience, I think. Especially non-Delawareans.
So,
they teach this stuff in our history classes.
I actually had to look. I did not learn this.
Shut the fuck up.
I always knew about this. So I learned it when I was 1 year old, and they handed me a Delaware flag and an assault rifle.
Yeah, that's like a yearly topic at Bible study.
Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, not re-education camps.
Yes.
Yes. We enjoyed them and love our history now. Anyway.
Black Camp.
Black Camp
Rebellion.
Apparently, actually, it was founded by loyalists from, like, Georgetown and Selbyville.
So this is Tories versus Patriots.
Yeah, so apparently, it was the colonel that led the Delaware infantry was killed at the Battle of Cowpens, I believe, is when they were all captured by...
Kirkwood was there.
Yeah, I think he was killed there.
No, he survived. He settled Ohio. His other guy, I think.
Yeah, someone died, and so Caesar Rodney, who just wanted to fight, like that's all he did, he apparently rode to Philadelphia in a day, again, to try to get some commission to replace some Delaware commander. And as soon as he did that, a bunch of loyalists like started this rebellion where they started burning supplies in Delaware, especially Georgetown, because apparently Georgetown was big they were supplying beef to the Revolutionary Army, which I guess based on the stories with the Union Army, I guess they just weren't doing that very well because they were kind of starving the entire time anyway. But
You say Union or
I meant to say
Continental?
Revolutionary and Continental, and said Union.
So this is essentially the Tories did their own Battle of Lexington and Concord.
Yeah, and they were like camped out in the cypress swamp, and Caesarani had to come from Philadelphia with troops and just clear them all out.
I always forget that Caesar Ronnie is an actual person and not just the name of a school.
Well, now, yeah.
That's wild, though. You know, question everything you see, every school name. Like, actually look up who the person is if it's a person,
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna find some cool stuff.
Yeah, question everything. Masks don't work. Telling you, look it up.
Like Stephen Decatur.
Do the research.
Okay.
Please wear a mask, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, so
This
there's
isn't
this
co- By
cypress
the time this
swamp.
comes out, COVID's gonna be over.
I know.
It's gonna be 2021 by the time I finish editing this.
So cypress swamp. I don't know if you've driven through it at night. It's really creepy looking. I was hanging out with a friend. I don't remember where I was, and I had to drive back through a storm where all the power went out. Literally, like through this swamp, and it literally was like every time there's like the tire commercial where every time there's lightning, there's animals everywhere. That's literally what it was, and like it's just genuinely a creepy place to go through. So in the '60s, people started seeing this like Bigfoot-like creature out in the swamp, and they started calling it like the Cypress Swamp Monster, and that was like the thing was people were.
So the Revolutionary War has nothing to do with the monster?
Well, I mean, people were killed in the swamp, so
Okay.
it's supposed to be really haunted as well.
So the ghost of these dead Tories and revolutionaries, they
So
like,
we got to upgrade. We got to.
they did like the sewer rat thing where they just all combined into one giant thing, and all their essence combined and formed into this big goopy swamp monster.
Yes,
Okay.
I just like the idea of like a ghost, but he's got a Jersey accent. He's like, man, we gotta get with the times, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta do something different here.
That's the worst Jersey accent I've ever
I
heard.
wasn't really trying to do one. I was just saying, like, I just like imagine, like, you see what they're doing over there? Like, we gotta do something better here. Gotta bring in the
You heard
people.
about that Mothman?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants ghosts anymore. We gotta step our game up to the
Exactly.
monsters.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently, yeah, there's like orbs you see. There's like other stuff. Apparently, there's like there's all kinds of crazy. Apparently, I've heard like UFO stories, all kinds of stuff. There's like the Wampus Cat, which we got to talk about.
Cat.
Yes. But people started seeing this Bigfoot-like creature, and like it was like the people saw it all the time. People just got up and like that was like the thing you do. Like high school was like oh, let's all get up in our trucks and we're all gonna head out there and see this thing.
Drinking legal drinking age still 18. Let's go buy some beer, get fucked up. The Cypress Swamp Monster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining it's a big black goopy guy.
Yeah, kind of.
Like
But anyway,
I guess it's like a tar person, like a tar monster.
I think it's like ever like the Ohio Grassman.
Soon to be the Delaware, Ohio Grassman.
Yes. It was like a type of Bigfoot people were seeing out there, and it basically was like, it just had like really, really long hair. I guess worked out well, so every like Monster Quest show just had a dude in a ghillie suit running around. Yeah. Anyway, I think in the 80s, it basically, no one saw it anymore until I think in 2005, this dude wrote an article on the Coastal Point and was like, yeah, it was me. Here's the costume. Like, and just had all this like stuff, and it was just like, I can't believe like.
See, he Scooby Dooed himself.
Yeah. I just like no money made off of it. He just bought this custom made suit that is literally looks like the main orc who kills Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Boromir.
Yeah. Literally looks like that, like had a club and a loincloth and
I think
everything.
it's Lurtz or Lutz.
Yeah. It's like put all this money into it just to get that enjoyment. No money, no, you know. And just in 2005 decided I'm going to ruin everyone's day that's thoughts that they've seen like a Bigfoot, you know?
Everyone that's still alive.
Yeah.
Or socially cognizant.
I just like, because that's such a, seeing something like that is such, I feel like it's such a big moment that you like tell everyone. Then you imagine like that story that you tell like your grandkids and scare them at night. It's just some dude who like was so bored that he just bought an expensive custom costume.
Well, life probably divorced him. Probably his midlife crisis.
Oh, he was there with his grandkids, so I don't know, I guess. Maybe that's like, you imagine it's like, look how much I love you, look what I'm doing. Please get back together with me. I have a female costume too, we can do it together.
You're run away. This is
Into
our new
the swamp.
identity. We don't need to pay taxes.
Bigfoot don't pay no taxes.
Think of all the money, the movie deals.
Squatches live free.
Swamp Squatch.
Can you imagine if Sasquatches were just like successful sovereign citizens? I know that doesn't happen much because they're just crazy, but like,
Sasquatches?
or sovereign citizens don't. They're not very successful. They're just crazy people.
Like Amish?
No, like people that believe they are like their own country, so they just don't have to like drive without a driver's license, and they can't
Oh.
be a like. Yeah, it's just the whole argument makes no sense, but it's just crazy old people that like to just say like,
I conscientiously object to being a part of this country.
but I live in yeah. So no laws pertain to me and stuff like that, basically.
Every beach is a nude beach.
Yeah.
Not-
Those are
not
also
bad.
the same people that tend to see like, oh, I took a lot of drugs and I came into contact with another alien race and they told me everything and like, yeah.
The world's gonna end in X amount of days.
We had a crazy guy like that in Lynchburg in Virginia where I went, where of course he was near the Liberties campus and he just had like, he literally bought an old house across the street from his to put up more yard signs. And it was just like, oh, like, you know, we are the lambs of God. We need to go to him and on Venus and stuff like that. Like, it was really crazy. Like, and then it, of course, found he wasn't paying any taxes, and I think he's in jail now. So, yeah,
You always gotta wonder though, like, what if I'm the crazy one?
yeah.
What if he's the sane?
I was listening to a podcast about that, and it was like,
We don't talk about other podcasts on this podcast.
it was a
We can't give free advertising to our
stone
competition.
tablet. I found it.
You're writing a stone tablet?
Yeah.
Stone tablet?
And that's where I found it, and I read it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was like just saying there's this dude who's just alien. His alien theory is so crazy. He has to be the only one that's like telling the truth.
Aliens 3?
Aliens theory,
Oh.
where it's like this dude who says he was kidnapped by NASA when he was 6 and was genetically modified and tortured to go live on Venus for the secret space program or something ridiculous.
That just kind of sounds like the plot of Kurt Vonnegut's Sirens of Titan book.
I never heard of that.
I couldn't finish. It's so short. Like all his books are short.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, all his, the books I read are beyond amazing. That's like peak political or just like social satire. But I just couldn't do Sirens of Titan. It just gets so weird. It's supposed to be like one of his best works of like sci-fi, but I have to give it another shot, I guess.
That's what I feel about like Dune. Dune sounds really cool, but
Yeah.
then it's just like pictures of half men, half giant worms, and it's like it takes like place over 50,000 years or something ridiculous. Like it time jumps.
Just after the first book. I think. I haven't read it either. I would kind of want to, but only because I saw the trailer for the new Doom movie. And I was like,
And
that's
it's like-
fun looking.
It's like Game of Thrones where it's like you have to finish it, but apparently there's like 11 books or something.
Yeah, and his like kids and shit are writing them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you got George Martin
Still waiting for him to finish.
because he's working on a TV prequel apparently too.
Yeah, it's,
I don't think he's ever gonna write it. I think he just enjoys harming people.
I don't know. I'm almost at the point where I just don't even really care.
I don't remember any of it. I really don't.
There's a time when I knew more about the history of Westeros than I did of like feudal Europe,
Yeah.
just because of the wiki. Wiki is so in depth.
Was he the guy that just is he the one who just loves talking about vagina on Twitter? Or is that
George?
no, yeah, is it him or is that no, it's Harry Turtledove.
Well,
Another
yeah,
old writer who just loves talking about
he doesn't love it. He just mentions like he just you're just surprised at how crass he can be sometimes. Usually it's politically based or politically charged, but yeah, I mean his sex scenes are always weird in his books.
Yeah, they're always like just extremely over hairy people cheating on their wife.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
And then the one character who hooks up with Ernest Hemingway, who lost most of his Johnson in World War One.
Yeah. Or there's the guy who like is the Confederate submariner that like
Yeah.
there's so many weird ones. Yeah.
I think in that one of his books, General Custer discovers art of pulling out.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know it's his brother. I thought he's like cheating on his wife with. There's something weird. Oh, it's like Custer's brother cheating on Custer's wife or something just absolutely bizarre.
Harry Turtle writes alternative history books. Some of the most famous ones being alternate timeline where the South won the Civil War, and it spans from the Second Civil War in 1880, which would have been our Spanish-American War, to World War II, where a super socialist / conservative North fights a not fascist Nazi South. And yeah.
there's Mormon revolt, and there's a communist slave or indentured, because they're indentured at that time. Remember they go
Well, no,
partially.
they're manumitted. They just can't travel.
They're like, it's like South Africa is what it kind of, where
Yeah,
they have
I
to
guess. Yeah. There's a communist revolution in the South, and then Mormons in Utah kept fighting for their independence, and
isn't there a thing where it's like Quebec tries to join the, there's like a whole thing about
yeah,
Canadians
when the North because England sides with the South,
and vice
so
versa.
go to war with Canada, and we annex Quebec and make it its own puppet country. I mean the United States of America.
And then the Confederacy in that book, don't they also make Sequoia like a free Native American state?
Yeah, they make Oklahoma like a Native American state.
I read the first book of his, If the Cold War Went Hot, which is called The Hot War.
Yeah.
It's only a 2-book series, but I really enjoyed
It was
it.
3 books.
I don't know, there's a new one coming out. It was a recent story he wrote. But that first
there's
one's
3.
really good, actually.
Yeah, that book scares the crap out of me because I just can't imagine like nuking actual cities, and it happens like that. And like just thinking of like Paris or like any like say such huge culture getting just demolished, just like hurts my brain and my heart.
In the book, they like one they follow is like a nuclear bomber pilot for the U.S. and then his family who lives in Seattle, which gets nuked.
No, they live in L.A. I read it too.
I thought it was okay.
Wait, no.
That is Seattle.
Somebody lives outside L.A.
Yeah.
I think she lives in Seattle. I think you're right. But somebody lives outside. It's the guy that works at the moving company, I think.
Oh yeah, because remember he finds like he moves refrigerators or something, and he like finds what he thinks is a paratrooper. There's all like secret. There's always like weird psychological warfare going on in that.
Yeah, I gotta finish that series. I gotta finish the Southern Victory one.
I never finished that one either. And I've
I'm on
also
the last book.
Your dad gave me one of his really weird ones where it's like if aliens invaded during World War II and everyone put down their differences and like yeah.
And eventually MLK became an alien ambassador.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love how like his books are so wild. You could just say like something like that without even knowing it's true, and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that part of the book."
I mean, he has a book where there's like it's in the United States and there's baseball, but there's also like ghosts and vampires and some magic and wizards and shit.
Isn't he has a Joe Steele one where it's if Joseph Stalin's parents emigrated to the U.S.
Yeah,
and he wins the presidency?
I tried reading that and it just felt so topical, and it was written like right before Trump won, so it came out right before Trump won, so it definitely was pure coincidence. I think his Turtle's pinned tweet is him saying everything he writes is not meant to be topical, or not topical, but not like it's all coincidence. But yeah, the shit that Joe Steele does is very relevant to what's happening in our modern times, and it was just too much for me to read during COVID. I plan to finish it eventually.
Well, that's like I'm reading Max Brooks's De-Evolution, which is about a like a weird new like green eco community that's like of like 6 families living out in the woods in Washington, and like Mount Rainier erupts and then brings a pack of Sasquatches down into this neighborhood, and it's all a metaphor for the COVID outbreak. I'm just waiting. That book's about to get so like horribly violent. They're hinting at it because they're finding like carcasses of like animals that Bigfoot are eating. I'm just waiting, and there's like all these like there's just people that are not meant to like. Basically, the metaphor is they're people that have like they're like high risk people for COVID, I think. Yeah, but.
So spooky stuff. Are we out?
I think we have. Well, we have a bunch, but there's a lot of them you could definitely like make their own episodes about. They're like, there's a few that are like nationally famous, and I think that are like on TV and things like that. There's one I want to talk about because I know you were in the Boy Scouts a while, and I was for a little bit too. And one of the best parts of camping with the Boy Scouts was scary ghost stories about like people that died at campsites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the Lums Pond State Park, the story's real. Like it actually happened.
We're not talking about red eyes.
I remember that one, but I remember that one being out in the cypress swamp too.
I think the red eyes was at Camp Henlopen. But yeah,
That one I'm happy doesn't exist because that one was pretty scary if I remember.
It was just a fisherman who drowned, and then he'd sit outside your cabin and stare at you through the window with his big glowing red eyes.
That one I don't know because that's also like a one I heard about. Like I've heard there's something like that with the cypress swamp, but you see it in your rearview mirrors as you're driving.
That sounds way scarier.
Yes, that would make me probably because that's a small road. That would I don't know how that would work out.
Yeah, I lived in the woods as a kid, or not in the woods, but like that woods in the backyard.
I would
And I after my dad told us that story at Cub Scout camp or whatever, I couldn't like. I hate our bathrooms had windows, And I had to
my-
make sure they were closed when I took a shower because I was so afraid I was going to walk out of the shower and just see red eyes staring, despite being on the second floor of of our house.
That would mean it would be even scarier if it was
Yeah.
on the second floor.
I mean,
Um,
I'm just somebody who I could have seen a trailer for just even the trailer for Chucky gave me nightmares. Or
That did happen to
child-
me. I saw
That
that.
did happen to me too.
I was going to bed when I was like in Wilmington, really young, and all the lights were off and the TV was
Your
still
house
on.
was so scary.
That house was haunted, apparently. My parents remember when they first bought it, before they had me, they would hear a baby crying at night, apparently, there. Better than the house they would have bought that dad had committed suicide in, like, the day before. That's wild.
Better than the house down the street where the guy murdered his wife.
And chopped her up into this interesting neighborhood. Yeah.
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 Right next to a school.
Mm-hmm. The best place to send people to live.
Wilmington's amazing.
Yeah.
Best city in the country. We want to make every city in America like Wilmington.
Yes. So, Lum's Pond, which I want to go to, it looks really cool. In the 1870s, there's a girl from Dover.
You've been to Lum's Pond, haven't you?
I don't know.
That's where the water park is, isn't it?
That's White Clay Creek. I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
See, all the fucking state parks here, they're all the same.
They're all just mill ponds, basically. Yeah.
But they're all beautiful, and we
I
want
know.
everyone to have.
And we want to put more of them in the country.
Yeah.
Um,
We're going to flood Yosemite, make it a mill pond.
we're going to shrink the Great Lakes
Mill ponds.
to make more land for more Delaware.
Erie Pond, I can't remember.
Erie
some
Mill
Great Lakes.
Pond. Was it Lake Michigan?
Lake Michigan, Lake
Huron.
Superior.
Yeah, it's basically like all the Native American tribes they committed genocides against is
They're now under lakes, and we're gonna drain them so we can get the bones and make little mill ponds and make graveyards.
yes.
Okay, so
Right.
Lum
Lum's
Pond.
Pond State Park. In the 1870s, there's a runaway teenage girl from Dover
Okay.
that ran into a vagrant's camp, and he raped and murdered this girl. And they
Okay.
found her body,
Yep.
and there was a huge statewide manhunt, like a big manhunt, like
Statewide.
sounds cool as hell, like torches, you
Yeah.
know, like.
Like 10 people abreast walking down the entire state 'cause that's how skinny it is.
But I was saying, like, how cool would it be to be like in an actual angry mob, but it was like your anger was like correct.
Yeah, you're not like burning down.
You're not in a lynch mob.
business.
Yeah. You're like
yeah. I was trying to think of
torches-
like something that was terrible but not too terrible.
like Frankenstein, I guess. You
Yeah.
know, he's misunderstood. But like being in a mob that's angry, but like has a correct way for anger, looks like so much fun. Anyway, so they never actually found this guy. Like he disappeared, which, you know, I mean, like crime scene investigation in the 1870s was like touch everything and just clean up this blood and
Yeah.
get rid of it. Yeah.
Do we even have fingerprint testing then?
No.
Yeah.
So John
the good
Mulaney
old
has a
days.
funny bit where it's like gangsters in the 50s could literally write their names with their Thompson machine guns on the side of a bank, and they'd still be like, we don't know who did this, you know. And so there's this swamp trail now, which looks cool. It actually kind of looks like the island trail here, where there's like that bridge
Mm-hmm.
in beautiful Trap Pond State Park.
Beautiful trap pond. Is
Mhm.
this the state park? Yeah, we have a sticker.
sta-
There's a
There,
sticker.
I don't think there is no national park in Delaware. There's a national seashore, but not a
Yeah, but there's parks and there's state parks.
Fort Delaware is no.
No, there's no national parks.
Mm-mm. Should be.
I think
but-
all of Delaware should be a state park. It's so beautiful.
Yes. Sussex County Dump should be a state park because it's the highest elevation place in the entire state, I'm pretty sure. But anyway,
Also beautiful.
yes. Our trash is just something different about trash from every
It's
other.
reusable. You can
yeah.
take it home with you.
So this swamp trail is haunted by this girl, and allegedly, basically, what people see is like it looks like there's someone being chased through it, or like a girl screaming. That's something like I don't know if since we're like out at a state park. That's you imagine that this one actually freaks me out.
Yeah, we're surrounded by trees. The sun is slowly setting. We're all alone.
It's just not only that, it's like all those ghost stories you would hear when you go camping, like none of it, all of it's made up, but that one, like being there, like it actually happened. There's something like, you know,
And people hear the events reoccurring at if they
you
go to
see it,
Lump
or where it's like off in the distance on the swamp trail, they see like a little girl running through the woods allegedly,
Jesus.
or like people like a chase where there's like two, where it's like just off in the distance, so it's like hard to see like at sundown, like it's just glimpses, which is yeah, and when you're at the campsite, you can hear a little girl screaming at night, apparently. Like, really, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of little girls in Delaware, so it could be one of those swamp monster incidents,
Or swamp vagrants that we have.
or just have the Cypress swamp guy.
Oh, yeah.
Could be her, but we're gonna see like some 9-year-old lady 80 years from now, it's going to be like right on the coastal point or whatever, whatever, and say, that was me all those years ago screaming in the swamp or the Lumps Pond. And we got some people coming.
That's got to be so mean. Can you imagine there's just like people that, you know, like spend all this money to like go hunt for Bigfoot or aliens, and then like the big thing that you did is just not real. All the time you put into that. Also, those communities are horribly toxic. They all hate each other and like slander each other all the time. Mainly the UFO community, apparently.
Yeah, I imagine that can be pretty toxic when you're all saying different things about aliens and your experiences with them. Because I'm imagining there's more than one alien race out there probing us.
Oh, don't even. Oh, dude, there's like 30 different. There's like the good reptilians, and then there's the bad reptilians that live in the core of the earth.
Are you explaining Scientology to me?
It basically is what it is. I mean, like, people say like, oh, it's a religion, but like, written by a science fiction writer who wrote about that kind of stuff beforehand. Like,
yeah, they got Tom Cruise. That's all you need, really.
yeah, isn't he like? Apparently he's like a bully. He like is the one they bring to like beat people up in the religion. I swear.
He's the muscle.
Apparently. I mean, apparently he's super mean. Yeah.
He jumped off a cliff for the newest Mission Impossible. So I mean,
didn't he like almost get killed by a helicopter blade or something filming that?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So there's the tall whites, which they're called the Nordics, and apparently they're really good, but they're just mean and look really handsome and super tall.
Okay, let's save this for another episode. We can talk about all the alien races.
It's so weird. I don't know. Probably don't believe any of it, but like, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to believe it.
It would be scary. I think it is scarier to imagine all that stuff existed. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when we're so low tech.
Yeah.
But my favorite teacher, and my math teacher in high school, he taught us math, but he would answer any question we asked him. And one of my favorite questions that someone asked him was the logistics of an alien invasion. And he pointed out that aliens have to have the same like economy like us. Like if it's as expensive as it is for us to go into space, like unless they have like some ultra super rare resource or some crap that can allow them, like it's gonna be super expensive to come all the way to us, and just to poke our butts. Like,
yeah.
Where's the money that their economy would like collapse just to come to us and capture people?
Well, we are definitely gonna have to have another episode about this, because there are people that allege that Eisenhower and Nixon met with the small grays, which are apparently clones and like slaves.
So they sent clones and slaves so they won't waste money.
So apparently the small grays are clones of the tall grays, and the tall grays are apparently enslaved by the reptilians. Which there's so much to it, it's insane.
I'm pretty sure that's like the plot of Falling Skies.
Yeah, pretty close to it. It's all a fantasy basically, but anyway.
Yeah.
So in the 60s, apparently, or whoever, no, when was Eisenhower president?
Eisenhower was after Truman. 50s.
Yeah. Remember when Richard Nixon was his vice president? Because just the scene of Richard Nixon and Eisenhower meeting with aliens is so weird.
I mean,
but
Nixon's
apparently,
definitely an alien. I mean, Eisenhower could be too.
So
Look at his face.
Yeah, exactly. These UFO people allege that when he was president, they met with Greys and they made a alliance, which we gave them some sort of technology. And in turn, they gave them probing rights.
So Nixon met with aliens, and they discussed, and then Nixon met Elvis at
Which
the White
is an
House.
Alien, if you believe the documentary, the true story documentary that is Men in Black.
Yeah. Do you think Elvis was an alien before you met Nixon? Or do you think Nixon replaced him with an alien? What if Nixon was an alien too? There's just a lot of conspiratorial stuff we could get into with that.
Nixon, Elvis probably was like, I think MLK's a pretty swell dude, and then he disappeared the next day.
Nixon said that?
No,
Elvis
was like, you imagine met with Nixon, he's like, I think MLK is a pretty... Wait, no, was it Nixon that signed the... No.
What?
I'm trying to think who was it.
Lyndon B. Johnson was president during MLK's assassination.
No, there was some president that was just super, like, in that time period, just super horrible, like, racist. I might be confusing him with, what's his name? The guy that Leonardo DiCaprio plays and...
Oh, J. Edgar Hoover?
Yeah.
Probably. He was
disgusting. That dude.
I mean, that movie was just disgusting. That movie should be wiped from anybody's memory.
I remember watching that movie. What was it? We were trying to see, like, Madagascar 2 or something, and it was sold out, so we went and saw that movie.
No, I think we went to go see it on purpose.
I thought we didn't. I thought we sold out, and we had to go see something else.
We went to see it during Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
I remember Joe was there, and Joe's girlfriend was there. And I think she fell asleep.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I wanted to fall asleep.
That movie was awful. I could definitely tell that was, like, when, Leo was like, I'm getting an Oscar. And he was just like starring in all this like...
Well, it was Clint Eastwood directed it.
Did he really? That's so weird. Clint Eastwood's a weird dude. But anyway.
Yeah, we can talk about his recent movie trends later in
Mhm.
an episode about Delaware.
I think I saw something weird in the sky when I was really young.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I've
it would
seen-
call it, but
No, like me and my mom were walking. We saw like white lights just flying down across the sky, like at equal distance apart on a straight line. And I was like, oh shit, we're really getting nuked. Because it was like early COVID, and like there's still that like stuff going on in North Korea too.
no, yeah.
So either we're getting nuked, or those are aliens, or just something awful. And then we looked it up. And, oh, it was like the Elon Musk's
I was SpaceX.
SpaceX satellite crap, giving internet to everywhere, or some shit.
I had a. Should I save that till if you talk about UFOs, or should we just tell it now?
How much time we got left? Pardon me if you hear some weird shit as I check the time. We're at an hour.
We'll save it.
Yeah.
We'll do a UFO episode because that stuff is insane, and there are people that will fight you to the death if you tell them.
Well, so thank you guys for listening to our podcast. We're gonna close it out now.
This great experiment that we've started.
Yeah, I guess I should have we should have said our thesis in the beginning. I don't know if we did,
I don't
but just
think
to
we did, but we got
reiterate,
so off topic that
Yeah,
I think we might have to just call this a.
we talked about so many different things today. To reiterate our thesis, if I didn't already say in the beginning, this is meant to be an exploration of Delaware. We want to explore all things Delaware. We want to teach the greater country and the world about the glory and greatness that Delaware has to offer.
Delaware can make you live forever, be happy all the time.
Yes, just like our.
We found the secret to never dying.
And no sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
That-
It is.
that-
no
yeah,
sales tax.
that's the correlation. When we give all our money to credit card companies.
And the WWE owns a business license here, so why wouldn't you want to come here?
And Fight Club is set in Wilmington, Delaware,
Yes.
so that's the greatest movie of all
Mhm.
time,
And
especially if you're a man.
Ted Kaczynski blew up an abortion clinic here.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's another
In
episode.
Dover.
Quit giving away our episodes. But yeah, we just want to talk about shit we find fun.
Mhm.
Erik has a degree in history. I have a degree in film. We both grew up around here. We both enjoy the history and folklore and culture. And yeah, the most important thing for sure is we definitely want to get Aubrey Plaza, the world's most famous Delawarean, on the show.
Yes.
We'd love to have a chat with her. We'd settle for Ryan Phillippe.
I was just thinking that too, yeah.
He's definitely our fallback. Like, I mean, there's only so much we can talk about Delaware, so we're kind of on a time constraint
Mhm.
for content. But we're gonna run it out as long as we can. If Joe Biden wants to come on, we'd probably say no because we're probably both too stupid to have a president on our podcast.
And we don't want to get him sick.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that chance.
And I definitely would not know how to act talking to a president
Oh, no.
or vice president.
Also, if we get Aubrey Plaza on the podcast, I swear, the next episode after that, interview with a real alien. Promise.
And it won't be Aubrey Plaza again. It would be an actual alien.
Yes. I didn't want to insult the greatest woman to ever live, to make
Yeah.
her think, yeah.
Greatest Delawarean and woman.
Yeah.
That pretty much makes you like on God tier if you're the greatest Delawarean and the greatest woman.
Yeah. On God.
On God, no
Mhm.
cap.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this has been the first inaugural and Halloween special episode of what's our show called? 1.5 Delawareans. I'm gonna. If you hear me say the name and it sounds weird, it means we changed it in post, and I'm over editing on top of it.
Or the government caught us because we told too much about aliens today.
Yeah, we're being censored.
I mean, we're not just out here in the woods for no reason.
And you see that chemtrail coming directly at us?
Yeah. Just a massive explosion. Yeah.
All right.